I have a Buderus Logano G124 boiler. The problem is that sometimes when a stat is calling for heat, the flame won't come on. The system pumps are on but the flame won't light. I turn the main boiler switch of and on and that seems to ignite the flame. The last service call I had the technician replace the sparker, but that has not fixed the problem.
All work to be done by licensed professional. We keep going until you have the information you need. I come and go. This is step 1. Hello, welcome to Just Answer. By turning the power on and off, you are doing what's called a soft reset. That only works when one of the boiler's safety controls has tripped. These can trip because there is something wrong with boiler or the rest of the system, or because a particular safety control is defective. The most likely causes are air trapped in the system limiting water flow through the boiler. So that boiler tends to overheat. Next, we need an infrared thermometer to get temperature reads of the hot water outlet to the central heating system to see it is running too close to the limit water scale in the heat exchanger, reducing heat transfer and allowing the system to overheat. Failure to ignite after 3 tries, that can be observed to be happening or not happening. Let me know if you are handy and safe working on appliances and I can walk you through the tests. If you call in a sharp boiler serviceman, he can likely fix this for a 2 or 3 hour labor charge, including his travel time. If you need help finding a service person that works on those, tell me which direction you are in from the nearest city. We can go from there until we have the situation sorted out. Phil.
Since I've been having this problem, I have learned a lot about the system but don't consider myself an expert. As I mentioned, because this boiler also controls the hot water, it is constantly cycling on and off. There is a line thermometer attached to the boiler and the temperature on that is set at 160 degrees maximum. During the course of a week, the boiler fires up many times with no issue, but one time the flame won't light. Could it have something to do with the ignition or automatic igniter? I am from Regina, SK, and I have a couple of technicians that I have used. The one thought the problem was resolved with the striker replacement last Jan, but that hasn't fixed the problem.
Hello again. Of course, the problem could have something to do with the igniter. It can also be many other things. It's best we do some testing and analysis though. That can get us a bit closer to what the real problem is and a fix that works. Or you can try replacing the igniter again. There is about a 10% chance that will work. There are very specific tests that you can do that can narrow this down for us. I do one test at a time in a very well orchestrated sequence to target the cause of the problem and lead to an effective repair. Failure to ignite is very often the fault of the igniter, but is just as often a problem with the following: low gas pressure, cured by adjusting the gas pressure regulator, requires test gauges. High gas pressure, a dirty flame sensor, or bad wire connection in the flame sensor circuit. A problem with the internal microelectronics in the control card, that fails to send the ignition signal occasionally, card must be replaced. Unlikely in this case but possible. Or it may not have actually failed to ignite at all, but just failed to attempt ignition, which you see as a failure to ignite. Because the burners do not fire, but actually caused by a tripped high temperature cutout switch. It could be any of these. However, since replacing the igniter failed to cure the problem, I am inclined to look for other failures that require a soft reset. And that is a tripped high temperature cutout switch as one of the primary suspects. That's why I mentioned the temperature testing and asked about the age of the boiler. Age relates to the amount of potential water scale buildup that fouls the heat exchanger, and leads to the boiler running hot as mentioned earlier. Underscore on your end, you can choose to do the checks related to that if you wish, or you can try various parts replacements until you find one that works. That's both an expensive and common approach that works about 50% of the time. Your last serviceman tried that by replacing the igniter. It is most likely not a bad igniter though, since replacing it has not cured the problem. That's why I'm looking for the other very common failure modes and seeking to run tests that will narrow it down to one of them. These can go very quickly indeed, even much less time than it takes me to explain why they need to be done. Underscore if the high temperature cutout is happening because of a dirty heat exchanger, changing parts will not help. Cleaning the heat exchanger will however solve the problem in such cases. I have no idea what your test skills and capabilities are. Let me know which approach fits your situation, we can go from there. Or if you like, tell me which direction you are from the center of the nearest city and I will see who I can locate in the area that is qualified to work on those boilers. Then armed with insights I have provided here, they may do the tests and determine the actual cause. Phil 41203.6735144329.
I am in Regina, Saskatchewan. If you know a specialist, let me know. If not, I will have someone do the testing as you suggest. Brian.
Hello again. This company 15 or 20 miles northeast will be your best bet for that type of boiler. SCI Sustainable Concepts Incorporated, Pilot Butte, Saskatchewan, S0G3Z0, Canada +1 NNN middle.sustainableconcepts.ca. Super efficient condensing boiler / RFH system, Hudson Bay, late 2002, multi-function boiler systems, several locations in Saskatchewan, mid-2000. Sustainableconcepts.ca. I will put the rating box up so you can rate my advice to you so far. In that case you can stay in touch on the same dime, so to speak, as work progresses. I would like to hear what they find and what the costs are before you commit to more than minor repairs. Thanks. Phil 41203.8228374653.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit JustAnswer.com/YTHI.